We know that since founding, a preaching method employed uses of so they employed the divisions between Americans, between colonies, between Native Americans, and further between colonies, and then further between our founding parents, who forced the other founding parents to force the colonists to be a country together, incapable of being a country together, because incapable of being a unity because of what was entrenched. So now one has wrenched. So when they pretend to be against the N word, these are locations that have been in the furtherance of needing to hide the same sequence as finite active progressive lies, where they have their patients and criminals and their sources. Like when they're doing police sports and stuff, they've been fabricating audio and video, sequence shifting, preventing anyone from demonstrating what is actually recorded. Remote uses of the individuals of these gangs, of the overt criminal enterprises, of the patients and criminals of the courts and of the police forms, kept needing to hide the same sequence of finite active progressive lies with them. Uses of those locations where they timekeep people will trick sick punk fakes. So they have switching names into Branch, Connecticut. They have Wethersfield police involved with wire crime action methods, with black and white, switching names. Hey! So watch their passions and emotions online. And CNN, please follow mandated law. Your Facebook page is involved with child sex offenders with the interbranch, intercolor. Hey! Get them on paper. I'll show you how to deal with them. I'll show you how to deal with the men and women speaking through others, pretend they can speak for women and men then. Hey! So you got some fake punks, and we're not going to go away until we have mandated law followed properly and on time. They're using little trick pit punks. They're playing games. Oh, but this guy can't be heard because he has a lot of views. You guys are on TV with way more viewers than Joe Rogan. Sustained. You guys are regular pod. You guys are regular news too. You guys are fabricating audio video with people from the 9/11 context. You attach people you have roles with your sources attaching people to fake words. Saudi Arabia, people from Saudi Arabia. You forced to trick, tort them to roles with you with predicate acts against little kids on child campuses, intercities connected to the spots next to the colleges. You have roles with undercover police forms with this Kalvinsky's family and people tied to him with Wethersfield shopping centers and with a Town Line Drive shopping center. Woman said, pretend she know me from high school. I never saw her around high school. I don't know her. People tied to them with that shopping center. There was a manager of that years ago, and then there are managers associated with it as Jamie Smith, who's one of the sons of one of the daughters who worked for Wethersfield Police that lives there. Me involved with some drug clicks, involved with some untimely deaths. And they were trying to get me arrested for what they were involved with ecstasy and untimely deaths on off Trinity College and on off the rolls of my neighbors. Pretended my name, little punk fakes. You should see the little punks that the Wethersfield police pretend are men and women of legitimate. Then they pretend passions and emotion, you punk fucking cowards. Pick one name in sequence. I call the phone, they hang up because they fucking painted themselves into fake locations, replacing what is actually recorded over the audio and video. And with fucking child sex offenders. And they force that sustain because they have other natures of methods of organized crime with it. They have the kids of mayors involved through time. So they're playing games with the Wethersfield town offices, how they have roles with the town offices also involved with this, with their patients and criminals on my street, a different parts of Wethersfield. And locations next to the campuses have been attaching me and others to fake words, fake locations, fake ties to themselves, fake natures of ties to themselves. They even have a woman and mother at the corner of, as one of the ones at the corner of Highcrest Street, one of the corners on Highcrest Street, where they have an NBC Connecticut News. They attach me to fake words and locations too. And they have the mother, that last name, and the daughter, they have that last name associated with the corner of near Paul Kelly's house. And there's a bunch of brothers that with the name Della Fera who attach me to fake locations, fake words, fake relationships to other people. They have a probate judge in their family. See, the courts, what they do is time confessions to people when they come around corners. Then they pretend to know you. They've been planting evidences, and they've been pretending their passions and emotions because they start fights between black people and other people because they specifically have black and white used, and where everyone's forcing this fake integrity. You don't have integrity speaking for the people. They don't care when they pretend to be against the N word or that like that. They separate people's words. They won't refusing to have reported the sequence shifts. So you have judges and prosecutors and their kids involved with federal crimes with child sex offender leaders. And you lying about what you believe about the passions and emotions of others. And that's recorded because your sequence shifts. So you're pretending that we can't read your passions and emotions. Get down! These are also people on off World Trade Center and the Washington locations. And they attached me with Connecticut News, Interbranch, with the Interbranch. They have roles fabricating audio and video with news stories, with child sex offenders, with various natures of federal criminal enterprises with the area. Also personally tied a whole bunch of ways to people at the department of the campuses and their family members and their friends, including the ones where they have on-off-campus relationships with their students before they're graduated. So they have a Jack Heitner and a Sam something, and his girlfriend and her wife involved with people on Franklin Avenue, also with people in my area, associated with overt criminal enterprises with the body don't big spot, Billy Grasso, and of a serial killer, where those locations were are also involved with identity thefts and frauds instances with investigators. So also military police. There's Eric Burgess involved with former director with a court that was used for the deposition of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. They had offered to host the deposition there, where Robert Luskin was sued by pro se litigant, my father. I didn't know at the time they were involved with what I caught them doing outside of campus at Central Connecticut State University and other campuses since I was a kid. When I was a kid in Wethersfield, the Central Connecticut State University had been brought up with confessions about the police to me and a mayor and people associated with religious spots with the executive. Like there's an Andrew O'Brien and Tim O'Brien. They have a father, Dennis O'Brien, and I don't remember what their mother's name is. But these are police forms involved intercities together with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and various natures of federal criminal code defendants of his. They also had and have other predicate acts roles with them, leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context in Manhattan, and since as the ones from Connecticut, also as ones involved with the remote uses of Washington, D.C. originally still. Integrity and honesty has not spoke for sick users of black, which begins and stays where there are other people that use it sickly. It begins and stays where how the locations, areas, and states had been using it for the breaching method, and they never stopped using it because it was still entrenched. Our founding parents needed to get a unity that was stronger, while they still had to and rely upon unities that were criminally foreign influenced, simultaneously delusions raw. So Joe Rogan is one of the names used in the news. Joe Rogan is one of the names used to measure and maintain online platforms, online companies with policies where they can't defend their policies and say that they are in defense of the Constitution unabridged simultaneously. So they get away with it by attacking people for things they said online. They also have narratives by the people who run the departments at the colleges and universities. Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University has a number of people involved with the military and with the former director of the FBI and with Wethersfield Police, personally criminally involved with them since they were kids, behind my backs, and with people on my street that are tied to them and their sisters. Like there's a there's a Charlie Bowes. I never had a word of conversation in my life. Him and some other police forms like a Mendez family and a Domain family, they're involved with the buildings near Fox Connecticut News, involved with predicate acts with Fox Connecticut News, wire crimes with them, people who answer the phone for them too, the people who run their Facebook pages. They take away people's Facebook pages so they can cover up their lie progressions. They've been lying every day in courts, including about, even when they're telling the truth, they're lying to themselves and others in other ways. The precedents and statutes are criminally foreign influence effectively being and having been employed intercities at other child location campuses, even private schools and public schools are kept needing with their kids to hide the same life progressions, uses of them, uses of their actually recorded natures. So we are being censored, and by the people who are pretending to be against that, and then they're showing that as evidences. See, courts since founding, they've been saying, "Oh, we don't see the evidence." They have the evidence over here, and they've been preventing people free speech and uses of what is just evidential other ways, what is hyper evidential, from prevented from uses from demonstration. Delusion draw, like with their uses of black and white regarding when they speak about in history, they leave out the breaching method employed, not by accident. Because those pseudo integrity of jobs and titles, pretending other and having pretended other, that's employed. That's relied upon by the breaching method that knew and needs, has to increasingly need. It would and doesn't increasingly need to keep other things, others, ourselves, blamed for what it causes. Nature is demonstrating the breaching method having caused negative value nature progressions, acts and natures. Nature is demonstrating that slavery and torture are juxtaposed as the value of that which is deemed free living conditions. In other words, and they charge them for that too. But in other words, in New York City, the people stacking vertically and horizontally their narratives by how that unfolded like that. Where and how even the suburbs are designed to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. You can't even go out and put things in the soil regularly. You have to put the other things in. The worms are less and less each year. In other words, everything's tactically denatured. It's a system that the waters are all destroyed because all the industries on top of them. That never changed, even though we have cars and things now. They had originally to put the industry right on top of the water for transportation, pollution. No one cared. No one cared now. We got PFAS, all kinds of things reported by Connecticut News are in the water. They don't know the extent. They don't know how bad. They don't even know half the time when people are putting things in there. So we have all identity ground locations, areas, and states were designed to cause negative value progressions, actions, specifically so they could keep people needing to blame on other things, others, themselves, the uses of that fake integrity. So we have more. Wethersfield police are playing still wire crimes with their phones. I just called them a couple of days ago. They hang up. They're lying about their passions and emotions. Get them to one name and sequence, one name. Hey, get me one sequence true. So make them speak because they attached me to fake raising my voice and fake comments when I had no conversations with them because they that's what happens. They get stuck lying about what they perceive about other people's behavior when they're about a bunch of degenerate, tactically pseudo-educated fakes. So the military had and has roles with the leaderships of the military. They don't care anything about their punk pose. They never have freedom. They don't care about freedom. Open your eyes. Make sure I get a response for them. I'll show you how to fix the crack pots with the fake science for everyone, let alone the black people. And then let alone a game where there's any difference in that. And any one of those rat trap spots. These are logistic positions against humanity. Make sure that I get mandated law followed. And make sure you get them now. Watch. Hey. This was all recorded since before I ever went on Facebook with any of the accounts. So watch what they're showing you for evidence, what they actually recorded at locations is what they're hiding from, and the means to discern it. Learn it. Well, I tell you truth alone. Rasim is not even a journalist. They've been using as a weapon how the right that they have. In other words, oh, we can get in trouble if we don't tell the law. So they use that as a means to do it more because they need to lie about their motivations with their interbranch sources, with their military sources. Originally and still criminally foreign influence with a whole bunch of different countries here and there shared fakes. So they have the uses of the family members of principals, of teachers, of professors, also effectively being and having been used to keep them needing to hide the same sequence shifts, roles, and the same uses of identity, ground, locations of overt criminal enterprises. Reading, this is former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, in his defendant capacities, too. Former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. As one of the ones before the World Trade Center involved with torture, identity theft, fraud, slander, child abuses, elderly abuses, and then in that context and since involved with such to hide what's actually recorded. So they attach me and others to fake words in the news, fake pleadings in cases, faked outcomes in cases, as their roles with federal crimes with people in the Ninth Circuit Court leading up to the World Trade Center. Right before the attack, they had post-dated from inside the Ninth Circuit Court to appear to the judges late because they use the times as weapons. They use the locations of the court as weapons, originally still little sick fakes incapable of defending themselves and of affording a quality of fact treatment nature and science's absolute revelations. Fear, it's righteous here. So follow mandated law, please. CNN, follow mandated law for Wethersfield Interbranch and for the military and for the people in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Attend. Pick a name and sequence for your punks. Don't call them anything else. And watch. I'll show you how why. You think that little kids in New York City, you think those little kids have education? Any weird, they have excuses, huh? Those excuses are also haven't been employed. There is no excuse for what is in New York City. And we have countless species that would open up like that. That's where our species longs for everyone else. Keep making it along through the rat trap, and you're going to keep getting rat trap fake voices speaking to you top down and collusion with the bottom up sick, overt criminal enterprises, killers, people next to the body, dumping spots, sick fake punks. Make sure I get a response for them. In with the campuses too. They brought this into cities. That's part of the way they use time simultaneously, too fast, too slow. They prevent you from having fixed what they did wrong. Then they put more into it. They're building on it. They're lying about their motivations, nature's needs, interests. Sandy Hook, Newtown also has more people involved with that as the people involved with the World Trade Center attack crime further. As people involved with houses on my street, with houses in other parts of the area where they involved with their falsified police reports through time. They know that they're recorded means to demonstrate that. They have a whole bunch of fake things in databases. Clear your mind.